What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of All Things Super. I am one of your hosts, Spider, and I am joined by Mr. VIP Frankie Washington. How are you doing today, sir?
Spider, who that is you brought with you?
Nobody?
Well, no, who that is? You brought all in with you? The millions and millions of thoughts that go through my mind.
I didn't bring those. You brought those.
Oh, well, I guess that makes sense then.
Okay.
To me, it makes sense.
Yeah, I would hope so.
Well, it got to make sense to somebody. As long as it makes sense to somebody, it makes sense. If it made sense to no one can make sense of it.
This is very true. True
All the
words
time.
have never been spoken.
Hey, man, I just say the true things, and then true things come out my mouth when I say them. That's all I do. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. I am doing great. We have some truth to tell today.
We do.
We have some truth to tell, but we'll get into that in just a second. But remember, this is All Things Super, if you didn't know, where every week we take a piece of superpower movie, TV show, even trailers. We watch them, we react to them, we break them down, we review them, and we ask the question, is it super?
Is it?
Is it?
Is it? It's my
Just might be.
anger management, is it?
But if you like that, go ahead, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell so you can be notified when we have new episodes that come out. If you want the audio version of the podcast, just search for All Things Super on your favorite podcast streaming platform. And if you want to follow us on social media, just click the link in the description below.
Gotta put the kickstand down on these glasses. Can't see them. There you go. There we go. See better now.
I'm so confused.
You know what a kickstand is?
Yes, I know what a kickstand is, but I know glasses don't have a kickstand.
Not confused at all.
Where on your sunglasses would a kickstand go?
You're joking with me right now, right?
No.
What?
What are you talking about?
The kickstand's right there. What are you talking about? You know, kickstand right here on the side.
That's not a kickstand. That's the arm of the glasses.
Hey, how does the kickstand work? The one that you're confusing this kickstand with?
The kickstand of a bicycle works where you point it out, and the bicycle is able to balance, well, not balance, but rest on the kickstand, so it prevents it from falling.
Yeah, same thing. Same thing.
So if you have
so when you have your glasses on and you kick them out, it prevents the glasses from falling off your face.
So with that being said, you have both of the arms of your glasses, but you said you still need a kickstand.
No. There are I said I had to adjust my kickstand.
Not what you said, but okay.
It's not what I said?
No, it's not what you said.
Hey, say what I said when I said what I said.
You already said it.
I know. I thought I did.
You did.
And it's now adjusted because the kickstand is right.
There you go. And we're back to the beginning. Just like Loki season 2.
Loki is here!
Loki's gone now.
Well, he was here.
He was here.
That's what they should have wrote on the side instead of skin. They should have said Loki was here.
I still don't know what that was supposed to be for.
You know what? All these other theory videos pointed out this little Easter egg. And I was doing my Spider, I don't do a whole lot of, due diligence or research. I leave that up to you, the professionals. But I went down this rabbit hole to try to see what would this Easter egg be about. That skin made by Morbius inside the TVA, outside of time, and understand what this Easter egg was.
Mm-hmm.
I gave up. Mind you, I didn't dig deep.
Yeah, I got you.
I watched a few videos. They
There's
just
some
referenced it.
just service level.
I have skin, and that was enough correlation for me to be
You
satisfied with
you
it.
got under the lawn. It was like, all right, that's good enough.
I eat potato skins, so I was good with this the correlation.
There you go.
And also, Skin is one of my favorite Rihanna songs. That's all. That's it. That was enough for me to be satisfied with the Easter egg. I don't know what y'all got out of it. That I'm good.
Let us know in the comments if you know why Mobius was compelled to write
Use his skin to write a message.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
I don't know. Maybe it was
it's
to
the same
show.
guy that left his kids, so I don't know.
Well, I mean, did he lose his kids, or
Left
did
his
he
kids.
leave his kids, or
Well,
was he taken away from them?
Not if you can come back at the exact same time you left.
But
Would you
that
ever
wasn't
go
his.
back?
That wasn't his universe, though. Which I don't know what he's gonna do in that universe now, because the Mobius already exists there.
This is very true.
He is a variant of that universe.
This is very true. Hey, in that process, are they making a new branch timeline? Are we not pruning ever again?
No,
You know what?
we're
Let's
not.
go ahead and get into this Loki because
But I think that before we move off of the subject of Mobius writing skin on the machine, I think that was a method of showing when Loki traveled to the future versus when he traveled to the past. Because when he first got sent back to the TVA, that was in the past. Even though it shouldn't be in the past because time works differently in the TVA. But it was so far in the past that Mobius and B-15 didn't know who Loki was. And then in the midst of him trying to escape, and he knocked the TV down in like the main control center or command center, cracking the tile. And so when he time slipped back to present, then he asked Casey, Casey knows who he is. They recognize him. He asked Casey, how long has the crack been in the floor? Which it had not previously been there. And Casey was like, as long as I can remember. So that traveled him to the present. And
yeah, but here's a question. If you can remember, as long as you can remember, why didn't you remember Loki making the crack?
Because I don't think Casey was there at that time. But I mean, and again, since they didn't know who Loki was, they can't definitively say that, oh, Loki was the one that did it.
Yeah, but it was clear foreshadowing that Loki had the ability to change the things that was going on in the past to change what happened in the future.
Which,
so
in
visual, so you
outside of the TVA, we were told that that's not the way that time travel works. Because if you change something in the past, it creates a branch timeline. And then if you were to go back into the future, then you would go to the future of that timeline. So again, time works differently in the TVA to where he can make a change in the past and time slip to the future where that change still was maintained. So back to my point.
Go ahead.
Where I think that Mobius writing skin on the side of the machine was just a way for them to be able to reference that he's now in the future.
I got a question for you.
Yes.
Here's a question. I'm going to drum roll it. I didn't say I was going to precisely drum roll it. I just gave it a lazy drum roll. Stop judging my drum roll. Did you even hear the drum roll? Did it come up?
Nope, not at all.
Well, can you hear it now?
Barely.
It's worse than the first one. Okay, so the point is, here's the question. Can I get meta?
I mean, I don't see why not.
That's the answer that I needed. So here's a meta thing. Loki, season 1, season 2. I'm gonna take this opportunity to do the slow hand clap and praise this show because it has taken not one, not two, not three, not four, or even five time concepts and woven it into this show. Weaving it, woven it.
Woven is a word.
Yeah, but is it the right word that I want to use wrong?
Well, that
That's
I can't answer.
that's a struggle that's always in my mind.
Only you can make that determination.
Only you can put out forest fires. So they took the grandfather paradox. They've taken all kind of Ouroboros loops. They've taken all kind of Mobius strips. They've taken all kind of conscious time travel, changing the past. Even in the MCU, Hulk explained that changes in the events in your past does not change history because changing those events in the past is your future and cannot be changed by what you did in your past, which I probably said right. Chances are I'm
I
right.
mean, it's a way of preventing time paradoxes. Because
Right.
if you go back into the past and you change your future and you're still on the same timeline, you could inadvertently make it so that you never traveled to the past in the first place, which you would have never been able to make that change to not travel in the past. So you would still been able to travel in the past, and again, paradox.
Exactly. So they played with paradoxes in here. They even show Loki pruning himself, time slipping in front of himself or in the background of himself. We even seen when they came to inside the TVA, he time slipped twice, got the book, was looking at the book, looked back at the Loki, and then he came in. That was an amazing time loop that they showed. He was still there, and then he slipped behind him.
Right.
We followed that same Loki to see the loop go again, then to a point where he started time traveling within himself. This show, again, slow hand clap.
Does it have to be that slow?
I was pausing for dramatic effect.
You
The
don't.
fact that they were able to the fact that they were, I mean, even Jonathan Majors played a part in it at the end when he says, you haven't learned how to freeze. Like he wasn't freezing time. He was just holding his words because at some point in time, you have to master time in that situation. I mean, 1,000 years to learn everything that Victor knows and Obi knows. Whew.
Yeah.
That's half of Omni Man's life.
I mean,
What?
but to Loki, that's nothing because Loki's already been living for thousands of years.
Yeah, at least 1,500. I mean, if Thor was 1,500 years old, I mean, we saw them kind of grow up together, so he had to be at least 1,500.
Okay.
You think? You think Loki's younger than Thor?
I mean, he was always considered to be the little brother, but I can't imagine that he's that much younger, canonically.
Mm,
But
I don't know. Could
it
be.
it
Next
was.
couple 1,000 years.
I mean, could be. I don't know. But having the scenes that repeated on themselves was done so well.
Mm-hmm.
It it's like I can't even put into words how seamlessly they did it.
That's why I did the slow hand clap.
Yeah, but you did it so slow. It
It,
made me almost forget my thought.
it lived up to the word, lived up to the whole phrase. Slow
But
hand clap. No
they
S.
did it because, well, not that because, but the way that they did it, it took away from having to do the whole like CG double in,
Mm-hmm.
because like we said, when he pruned himself, we saw him get pruned at the end of episode 1, and before we saw who did it, we jumped back to the sacred timeline and him getting pulled out of the sacred timeline. When he saw him when he saw himself reading the book, he was far enough away
Mm-hmm.
and his back was turned.
Mm-hmm.
And so he time slips away. Then later, when he gets back in, he's up, he's looking at the book, and they shot it from in front of him so you can see behind him. And you see
Mm-hmm.
Loki come in, but it's so kind of like out of focus.
Yeah.
So you don't necessarily have to see that that's exactly Tom Hiddleston. And I think that's just such an ingenious way to do it
But how
because it allows him to interact with himself without even knowing that he interacted with himself until he got to the point to where he was going to interact with himself.
then calling out hello, like if somebody there? Because how many times have we had that situation that we barely thought we caught a glance of somebody or something? It's like, hello? Like, am I in here by myself? Because I
Right.
thought I was in here by myself, but my peripherals, I clearly saw something.
Mm-hmm.
It plays on the mind.
Yeah.
Slow hand clap for Loki. But that's not to say that this series or this season was super. So there's some things in here that we're gonna have to get to. We got to address.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, but I feel like we have redefined the MCU.
Interesting, Spider. Go ahead on that, Taryn. Let me hear with this. Where are you going with this?
So up until the point of the end of Loki season 2.
Up until the point of Loki season 2,
And to the end of Loki season 2.
all the way to the end
Right.
of Loki season
We have so far been
2.
on
I'm
the
still with you. I'm
sacred
still with you.
timeline. And everything that we've seen has been planned by He Who Remains. We saw the script in season 1. We saw that he said that he paved the way. Everything that they did was according to his plan. Even the part of Sylvie killing him and throwing the sacred timeline into disarray, and Loki repeatedly trying to solve it, repeatedly failing, because what did they ask in season 1? Is the destiny of a Loki to lose? And so He Who Remains has planned all of this. He says, you're going to try to fix it, you're going to fail, the timeline is going to explode, and then eventually it all comes back to me. And I'm right back here in the seat doing the same thing, and we live this whole thing over again. And
it's a loop,
it's
Ouroboros,
it's a
Mobius
time at
strip.
the flat circle. Yeah. And so having Loki be able to get He Who Remains to a point in conversation where he didn't know what was coming next is the way that Jonathan Majors played that, because Loki like recited some line from a poem or something, and He Who Remains was like, okay. And like he didn't really have a reply to it because it was something that he didn't expect Loki to say. That was not something that he knew was going to come out. And
This
even
is
the whole
true.
thing was like, he was like, he was fighting with Sylvie, and he finally, after all of the, cuts of him trying to get her to not kill He Who Remains, ultimately failing, he at one point turns to He Who Remains, like, can't you intervene or something? It's like, you
Yeah,
just
it's like
sitting
you're
there.
not
He's
gonna
like,
fight back.
every time that I'm doing this, you just sit there and let yourself get stabbed. Why won't you stop this? And so he freezes time. He Who Remains freezes time. And he, of course, mocks Loki. He's like, how many times have you been at this? How many times have you done this? Because he knows that that's part of Loki's journey, is to constantly try to stop Sylvie from killing He Who Remains and constantly failing. And so because He Who Remains know that he's been at this for years, decades,
Eons.
centuries,
Yeah.
eons, timelessness, eternity. He says, he mocks
Time
him. He
works
says,
differently at the end of time.
so like you say, he was mocking him. He was like, you still can't pause time. And so he does that. And of course, they have their little conversation, and they're basically, he who remains was like, no, I'm not doing anything. I didn't do anything because you weren't ready to have this conversation yet. And I still don't think you're ready. And so he unfreezes time, and then Loki immediately stops time. And when he said, what makes you think this is the first time we've had this conversation? I was like, oh, that just completely was like, I didn't think of that. Yeah, because we didn't see it, because we're so fixated on Loki trying to stop Sylvie. And we only see that one instance of him actually regarding He Who Remains and, you know, trying to get him involved. He may have done that, you know, however many times.
Yeah, but here's the thing that we called that already, Spider. We called that not last Loki something, either last season or this season or one of the seasons that has something to do with time in the past. Because we said on the elevator when Sylvie and Loki was in the elevator with He Who Remains and Sylvie tried to stab He Who Remains, that he dodged it. He used his temp pad and dodged it out the way.
Right, and trailed behind him.
And I don't think you got that information unless you got stabbed. Right. And we can clearly see that time works. So if that happened and he died, the loom still explodes.
Mm-hmm.
So he goes right back to reset. So next time he's in the elevator with Sylvie, guess what? You're not going to stab me again.
Right.
I think it's been going on for quite some time.
Oh, absolutely. I have no doubt about that. But I love the development that we got from Loki's character this season. I mean, even though we saw Loki do a lot of growing in season 1, I feel like his drive, because we talked about it before when we were talking about Loki, just that Loki had to find this drive when it was, you know, in
his
Thor.
Glorious purpose?
Yeah, he basically had to find his glorious purpose. Again, circling back around, the first episode of season 1 was titled Glorious Purpose. Right. The last episode of season 2 titled Glorious Purpose.
It's like a circle.
Like a but freaky, a weird circle. Freaky circle.
Yeah, there you go.
But so we got that growth from, you know, we saw Loki in Thor, and basically he felt like he was the rightful heir to the throne. He wanted to be king. Avengers, he wanted to take over Earth. You know,
so he could rule.
So he could rule
everybody to kneel.
Right. And then in Thor: The Dark World, he assumes, you know, Odin's position on the throne. He basically not kicks him out of Asgard, but he puts him in a home, and we don't find that out until Doctor Strange.
Do you think he moved the whole?
No, not Doctor Strange. Thor Ragnarok.
You think he moved the whole bed and just put him in a nursing home, like when Odin was doing the Odin sleep? Like he just took the whole bed and just teleported it to like this.
I mean,
so Odin wakes up from the Odin sleep. He's like, "Where am I?"
I doubt it. I think that it was more magic based, where he just kind of transported him by magic from his bed to the nursing home or whatever.
And because he's overseeing Asgard, no matter who's at the helm, it was Scourge, Odin can't call the Bifrost to come back home. That's kind of screwed up, man.
Yeah.
So Loki was ruling Asgard after that point.
Yeah, but even still, then he was ruling as Odin, so he still wasn't necessarily himself. But of course,
but we seen in Ragnarok that he was going to take over where the Grand Master was at. He was like, "I'm going to get in good with the Grand Master, gain his favor, and then." Untimely demise. Make no secrets, the Grand Master is probably one of strong, powerful characters in the MCU. So I don't know how Loki was planning on doing that, but he figured out a
He
way to
was
do
the
what he's doing. So,
god of mischief.
and in those mischiefs, he sees a scheme, and the scheme reminds him of him.
But of course, that Loki is not the same Loki that we get in the show, because we see in Endgame the Loki from 2012 grabs the Tesseract, teleports himself to a
I'm
desert,
out of here.
gets caught by the TVA.
Let's just go ahead and acknowledge something real fast, Ryder. When does the Tesseract give you ability to
Teleport?
time travel or traverse the? No, we see it could teleport.
Yeah.
Thanos used it when he left out the I forgot what Thor named his ship, but whenever they were leaving from Ragnarok, you know, Thor got beat up and left to die, and Thanos used the Tesseract or the whatever stone it
The
was,
Space Stone.
Space Stone, to move throughout space,
Right.
but not space and time.
What
So
makes you think that he used the Tesseract to time travel?
Loki used the Tesseract to
Leave New
teleport,
York.
leave
Yeah.
New York. He teleported, ended up in the Mongolian desert. Here comes the timekeepers to get him.
Right.
Not the dimension keepers or the teleportation team. The timekeepers came
Right.
and got him
Yeah.
because he did something to upset his flow of time. What he did was step off his path, which opens up a new
New branch
timeline or a
timeline.
branch timeline that
Right.
a potential Kang could supposedly come to, which we find out all is a lie. It's a lie. All of
Yeah.
this was scripted by He Who Remains, so Loki can take the path that he has. This has been an elaborate suicide show. It's all it is. He Who Remains was tired, and he's like, I'm gonna get some Loki to come take. Is either gonna be Sylvie to kill me, and he gonna take over, or he gonna take over. That's it. Or this is all still a part of He Who Remains' plan. Because when Loki said, I'm going to break your loom, He Who Remains heard that and said, okay. He didn't say, dude, the loom is a failsafe. If it breaks,
Everything resets.
everything resets. So Loki breaks it and take the broken branches of timelines again, which he struggled to hold on to the whole season. Every time time started unraveling, everybody started getting spaghettified. He's trying to hold on to these branches of timelines, his friends. He's trying to hold on to his friends, his existence. He can't hold it. Loom explodes. Timelines branches is dead. It's all black. It's dead. I don't know how many people are dead in that time, because it's interesting, because anytime else we saw a timeline blow up, we didn't see strands. It's only the recent till we got these strands. So now we see Loki grab the strands and start to infuse it with his energy.
Well, I mean,
right?
We kind of saw strands because, when they pruned the timeline, you saw it on the monitor. They had, the little line that got pruned.
Yeah, but we didn't see the spaghettification of it.
Well, I mean, because at that point, the sacred timeline was still a sacred timeline. So it was just all cohesive to where it was supposed to be.
I would like to take this opportunity to point out that Wanda took Mr. Fantastic out of existence when she unspaghettified him and then popped his head. That pop was a definite murder. I can attest to that.
I mean, it was a murder for all of them.
I mean, she took him out of existence and made sure he wasn't coming back. So, wow. I'm saying that to say this. These dead timelines, these dead branches, he's grabbing, and he can hold those, and he can infuse those with his energy and bring those back to life. He destroyed the loom, but the failsafe of destroying the loom is to reset the timeline. So in some version, because we're dealing in probabilities, that doesn't happen. That might be too deep for this section of the video. That might be on a future breakdown video. But the probability of something happening, it can either go two ways. It can either happen or it not happen. So just as much as it not happen, he who remains stayed in control and took over, because Loki grabbed the branches, destroyed the loom. That's what happened. In a probability, the opposite happened. Think about when Scott was in the probability storm.
Mm-hmm.
He made a decision. They became two Scotts. Then those Scotts
Well, he couldn't make a
them,
decision. That's why there were two Scotts.
And there you go. And it wasn't until they all decided that they had to do it for Cassie that they all came together.
Right.
But they still had the probability of different ones existing.
Right.
So once Loki broke the loom, there was a version that didn't break the loom, probability wise, in the multiverse.
I don't think that it works that way.
You don't think probabilities work that way?
I don't know. Probabilities work that way. Yes. I don't think that worked with I don't think there's another version of Loki anywhere else now. Well,
you think he destroyed all the Lokis?
No, let me correct that. There's not another version of Loki that's outside of time holding the strands of time together. That one Loki is now what everybody's been referring to as a god of stories. And so now he's on the throne. He's the one, he's basically the loom. He's maintaining the timeline. Whether it's a sacred timeline or whatever they want to call his timeline, he's maintaining the timeline. But he's the only instance of that happening. I don't think that there's another version in another universe somewhere where there's another Loki that didn't break the loom. I think that was the only loom. This was the only sacred timeline. So this is the only Loki, the only instance of a Loki destroying the loom and taking the timeline so he could control it himself.
Can I give meta again? Can I give meta?
I don't understand why you feel like you have to ask.
I gotta ask these questions. I don't want to. He's so meta. I've seen this coming a long time ago, probably since they said they didn't like King on the throne. We played this even in the conversation with Kang and Loki. King saying that's why I have the big chair, because I'm making the tough decisions. We seen everything from this Loki opposite of the Loki that we knew. The Loki that we knew, 2012 Avengers, everything that we said from Thor 1 all the way up to Ragnarok, this Loki has been trying to get a throne. He's been trying to rule. He's been trying to be king. And this Loki, time heist, TVA, loop shenanigans Loki.
Variant Loki.
Just
call him Variant Loki.
President Loki. No, not President Loki. But this Loki, C-137. Got it. Is the opposite of. And he doesn't want a throne. He said he wanted his friends. He was just trying to keep his friends safe. He just wanted, to do the right thing by the TVA, not really branch timelines. But the journey to see him get to that point has been an interesting one.
Yeah.
But I knew at some point in time, either they were going to have to remove King or He Who Remains and rule it together. I think we even predicted that they'll just rule it together at the end of time and be, what other happier way to send off? Because unlike everyone else, and I guess the strikes had a lot to do with it, we didn't get a confirmation of a Loki season 3 or Tom Hiddleston's going to continue to be Loki. Where will he show up next? I mean, he literally can pop in anywhere.
Can he?
controlling time
Yeah,
itself.
but is it like a manifestation of himself? Because his physical body is physically holding the timelines.
And I think he can be inside of the timeline as well. He's sitting at the end of the time, holding the timelines together. But I think he can be inside any of those timelines. Here's the thing: he who remains stopped time with his little temp pad, and he flicking like he kicking a booger off of his arm or something, his fist or something like that, right? Loki stopped time with a flick of his finger. No temp pad.
Right.
Goes to show it's kind of like Captain America, Iron Man. Captain America stuff is inside of him. Iron Man stuff is on the outside of him. Captain America can take that metal and rip it off. Iron Man would have his metal ripped off. So just not the same situation. You take the temp pad off of He Who Remains, he's just an average man. Loki, again, which they made a point of saying, is a god. He's a god. He's literally sitting at the end of time, holding the timelines together so you can be safe and harmonious because he loves his friends and himself in the female version. All praise God Emperor Timeline Loki. With the
I say God Emperor.
With the big horns.
But no, there's because the creator of Loki said that the way they wrote it was two halves of a book. And so now the book is closed. I don't think there's going to be a Loki season 3.
Where would they go? The thread is gone.
Right. That's what I'm saying. I don't think there's going to be a season 3. The TVA still exists. There may be a spin-off show about the TVA. And it's rumored that the TVA is going to be a big part of the Deadpool 3 movies. So we'll see the TVA again. But they got around, having Owen Wilson show up because, he left.
Yeah, I'm sure he's going to show up in Deadpool 3. Here's the thing.
I don't think he will. I think he fulfilled his contract obligation with the MCU, did his 2 seasons of Loki, and he out.
They got rid of Owen Wilson?
Because he wasn't a field agent anymore. He doesn't go out and he's an analyst. Wow. And so since we're not necessarily focusing on the internal workings of the TVA.
No, I think we're probably that's not a lot to go with Loki. Like I said, he can pop up. I cannot imagine doing Secret Invasions and he not show up. Or the King Dynasty, or I said Secret Invasions, which I don't know why that's haunting my
Secret Wars.
Yeah, Secret Wars is what I meant. Sorry. Don't come for me in the comment section, but he said I say the wrong things all the time. Y'all should know me better.
If our comments were calling us out on the things that we said wrong, we would have 100 comments on every video.
I'll read one of them.
But you say you had some things about this season that weren't.
They rubbed me the wrong way. Spider, I'm so glad you gave me permission to. You know what? Let me give this little tantrum real fast. Yes. Disney, Marvel, Disney.
None of it.
Did you get the sound effect?
Yeah, I got that.
Okay, so the plus is what I was trying to go for. Let's just go ahead and establish this. We're done with it. These 6 episodes, 8 episodes, seasons. Listen, it might have been cute when Disney Plus first rolled out. Stop doing it. Just stop.
They're not going to.
Well, they got showrunners now.
Yeah, that doesn't mean that they're going to stop doing the 6 episode thing. Because Echo is only 6 episodes.
I think they looked at Echo as a trash dump, and they just wanted to dump it all because they didn't like what they saw, which is interesting because I know we did a review and it looked somewhat decent.
I've seen a lot more people online have positive reactions to the Echo trailer than they did. My device just activated. Than they did.
What device is that?
I can't say it. The Alexa device.
Oh no, yeah, you can't say that on this video.
It's not about saying it on the video. I don't want it to pick up and try to talk to me. But people were, when they saw Echo in, I did it again. When they saw her in Hawkeye,
I'm sure you're not the only one that's having problems like that.
Everybody's like, stop saying it.
What show?
But when they saw her in Hawkeye and then they heard that she was getting a spinoff show, of course they were against it. They was like, oh, she's a nothing, hero. We don't need to see her. We don't need to see the show and all this other kind of stuff. But after the trailer, I've been seeing a lot more positive expectations for the show.
Yeah, Marvel's not afraid to stuff a hero down your throat.
No, absolutely not.
Like a sandwich.
But I mean, regarding the 6-episode format,
they got to get rid of it, Spider.
I don't know I know Daredevil. I don't know if they still stuck with the name Born Again. I think I saw something that they changed it. They might or they might not have. But because that one's supposed to be what, 22 episodes, 21, something like that.
We're lucky.
If we're
lucky, they might trim it down to 4. I don't know. This Werewolf by Night special event and special presentation with a Guardian of Galaxy holiday special. Listen, this short form content doesn't work for you, Marvel. Okay, you got people.
Oh, I mean, Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special was
writing
good.
Books talking about you're on your downfall. They're writing articles saying that your best days are behind you. It's easy, and you won't have to worry about these little fluff pieces messing up your stock.
I don't think that's a concern because I think that's going to happen regardless. Because to expect Marvel to put up Infinity War and Endgame numbers on every single movie that they release is just completely unrealistic. Because you're talking about movies that were the culmination of 10 years of work. And you take that and just like, we go back to phase 1 with Iron Man. If I look back and see how much money Iron Man made, of course, it's not going to be as much as Infinity War and Endgame made because nobody was really concerned at that point.
Go back and watch Iron Man in any given day of the week at any given time. Listen, Iron Man was a success at the time, right? Because 2008, they took a chance all the way around, right? They are just documented. It was their last shot, home run, right? A lot of stuff that they did with allowing Jon Favreau to speak in his own voice creatively. A lot of practical things, a lot of insight, a lot of freedoms as well. Fast forward to what Marvel is now, which is a juggernaut of a company. I don't think they have those same liberties that they do now that they did then, which could potentially hurt it, the whole brand as a whole, because you were lacking in the quality. Again, any given point in time, you can go back and watch Iron Man 1 and have a great story and a great feeling coming out of that. With all these new characters like Echo and Moon Knight, you don't have that same because you only consider 6 episodes or 3 or they need to get rid of this formula. It doesn't work for them. I think Loki could have been a phenomenal series or season if we didn't have 6 episodes. I'm just gonna throw it out there.
To your
I'm
point
gonna throw
about
it out there.
not having that warm feeling at the end of these shows, I think that's because if we're watching a movie, we're watching Iron Man, we're watching Thor, they end with a resolution, right? So we watched Iron Man. Iron Man had a conflict. He got kidnapped, held for ransom, becomes Iron Man, deals with Obadiah. Obadiah dies. We get the end where I am Iron Man. We got a full story, right? And so I think when they're creating these shows, they're creating them in the sense of either having additional seasons for the show or anticipating having additional seasons or creating a spin-off to follow a different character, like with Echo, with Vision Quest, with Agatha and whatever her show is subtitled now because they didn't change it like 5 times.
Hilarious. It's gonna be Agatha Watch and See.
But I don't disagree with you
But
that we don't get the warm feeling at the end of these shows, but I think it's literally because they're writing them in the sense of leaving them open-ended for whatever they're going to do next. And I agree with you. That's not a model that they should follow. If you're going to have a TV show, you should have a whole TV show. It should be like what Loki's basically you take the 6 episodes from season 1 to 6 episodes from season 2, put them together, you basically have a full season of a show. Story from start to finish, a well-crafted story from start to finish. But that's what I meant when the creators were saying that they created it like 2 halves of a book. So we get to the end of episode 6 in season 1. Of course, we have the cliffhanger because Loki got sent back in time in the TVA, and now we see this big statue of Kang where the timekeepers used to be. So we see that it's all supposed to be different, and now we go into season 2 and we see that we picked up exactly where we left off. And you don't have a lot of shows that do that. A lot of shows don't pick up in season 2 right where they left off in season 1. It's always some time jump, something else is happening. We might focus on, a new villain or whatever it is that season 2 is going to get into. But we pick right back up where we left off in season 1. And again, was able to tell a complete story from beginning to end, from the confusion of Loki time slipping to where he is inevitably in control of all time. It just, that arc is amazing. And
do you think he'll still fall for 30 minutes in the Doctor Strange
I mean, if we go back and watch it, that is still going to happen. But I think I preferred it this way, having 6 episodes of season 1, having the break, and then having the 6 episodes of season 2. And
so you don't feel like you could have got more Doc and flushed out of this pruning of timelines and the better explanation? I mean, let's look at it. We dropped Renslayer off in the middle of the void,
right
at the end of time, and if we're not having a Loki season 3, is that how we're leaving a character off?
Well, that's another character that I think is going to come back later somewhere else, because through all of our information that we got from He Who Remains, kind of revealing that Ravonna was the deciding factor in winning the multiversal war. Not like anymore. She commanded the army. She was the reason that they won. And from watching New Rockstars and reading up on, the comic lore of Ravonna Renslayer, she was the one that tamed Goliath. And so if she was the one that tamed...
She don't have any powers.
I don't. This is not necessarily about the powers. Whatever she did, she tamed Goliath. But I'm assuming that Goliath was
another version of Cain?
No.
I just find it hard that there are magic users like Loki in the void.
I mean, in the comics,
they got eaten.
In the comics, it was a partnership between Victor Timely and Ravonna Renslayer. So together, they tamed Goliath. But
okay,
with her having a part in that,
damn, he who remains lies a lot.
he does. I mean, we even saw that with Victor Timely. He was lying about certain things. But we saw He Who Remains, of
All
course.
time, always.
You know, he's gone now. And so, like you said, Ravonna got pruned. And I'm thinking that if we get into another multiversal war when Secret Wars or Kang Dynasty comes around, I think that Goliath might be a part of that. Or it might just get thrown away because whoever's directing the movie might have different ideas and they may not bring her back. I do agree that her story was left unresolved. Yes, I agree with that. But I don't think that needs another 3 episodes to fully flesh that out.
I think we could have did more with more instead of trying to do more with less. There's no reason that we, because here's the thing, Kang, Spider, you and I talked about this. We're not, listen, Jonathan Majors did the thing. I'm gonna give you 3 parts. I'm gonna give you all 3 of these parts right now, and we can address them all at your leisure, whenever you want to address them. One, I think because of the situation with Jonathan Majors, they went back and edited some of this. I think we probably got a totally different ending than what Marvel originally intended for the character of Kang. Because when we first saw season 1 and we seen Kang get stabbed by Sylvie and he said, "See you soon," we're thinking big picture, MCU, not Disney Plus, MCU, all these Kangs coming up. When Quantum Mania came around, we saw this Coliseum full of Kangs, and we're thinking to ourselves, man, this is menacing. This is menacing that, Ant-Man barely survived. Barely survived. Let's just be honest. He didn't really win that fight. Even Ant-Man said, "I don't have to win. We both just have to lose." So it's not like it was the biggest victory in his career.
Right.
They pushed Kang inside of the quantum drive where he got sucked in. Did he die? We don't know. He could have got shrunk down. There was a probability.
I mean,
there's so many unanswered questions.
They made a reference to it at the end of season 2.
But this is the point that I'm saying. You have successfully made your big multiversal threat non-threatening.
I said that in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania.
But we were thinking it was still going to be a build-up somewhere along the line. You see all these Kangs in the Coliseum, in the stadium. You're like, oh man, that's going to be menacing. But not only we seen Kang get beat and exiled, we see him get beat by Ant-Man. You see Victor Timely get killed a lot. You see He Who Remains get stabbed. And your threat's not threatening, is all I'm saying. I think people are over Kang now. It's like, okay, he hasn't beat anyone. He hasn't even beat time. At the end of Loki, season 2, you see the young child of Victor Timely, the Candlemaker, who was on a sacred timeline.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't remove the kid from the sacred timeline. They removed the point of him not getting a TVA manual. So Severed is the origin story of Kang. He's already defeated. The variants are out there, but at this point now, we're just cleaning up the variant mess. We've already cut it off at the root. He cannot exist. We just have to deal with his other versions. But now he's not as big of a threat as he was before. I was thinking that they would never be able to find that point of origin where Victor Timely got the book, always be out there. But they stopped that. I think they went back, rewrote that, put that in there, and made it a point that Okay, well now he never gets the book. He never creates a TVA. Loki is gonna always be the what they call it, the Idris tree, and protect the
Idris,
branches of time,
Idris Elba.
even in its. Oh, that sounds like mouthwash. So even even in the flow of time, is your reaction that made me laugh. Even in the flow of time, like these infinite timelines can all coexist. So, yay! We already defeated the villain. We've seen the transformation of Loki from God of Mischief to God of Stories because he's crafting stories for everybody, but he's Jay-Z because he doesn't have to write things down. He's, Lil Wayne because he could just go in a tree, go in a booth, and just create stories. I don't know if I think you're frozen. You're probably frozen on
No,
my end
I got you.
and not sure.
I still hear you.
Well, I was frozen on your end.
Yeah,
You were
you're back
frozen
in
on my end, even
you,
though you weren't frozen.
you're back in your glitch phase.
I love it when we're frozen because I get to do this and nobody can see me.
But you're not frozen right now until everybody sees you taking a drink.
Huh? Oh, sure I was. I'm thirsty. Anyway, bottom line of what I'm saying is, I think they could have did a lot of it. Doesn't make sense. I think they changed the ending because of the situation with Jonathan Major. He was an overarching villain. Now he's not. He's not. It's if they drop Kang Dynasty right now, who's gonna watch it? Ninja level threat. You ready to see Mysterio come back?
I don't know.
You know you want to see Mysterio come back.
I don't care at all about Mysterio.
Hey, don't do Jake Gyllenhaal like that. He was
I didn't say I
mysterious.
didn't
You
care
didn't see
about
how
Jake
he was in the
Gyllenhaal.
background.
Yeah,
Oh, okay,
I remember.
okay.
I don't
All
have
right,
a problem with Jake
I was
Gyllenhaal. I don't care
mysterious.
about Mysterio.
That's so horrible.
Mysterio
How
has
epic is
always
that?
been. Mysterio has never been an A tier villain for Spider-Man. Mysterio has always
Wow.
been kind of B tier.
Wow. He's better than Kang. Kang's like C tier now. About to be a D-list
I
villain.
mean,
He hasn't won anything.
that's what I was
He hasn't
saying.
done
Y'all
anything.
called me crazy when we did our Quantumania review, and I said that they hyped up Kang like he was this big bad threat, and then we get into the movie, he gets run over by some ants and then gets sucked into a wormhole. You got not beat, like you said, Ant-Man didn't beat him, but you got, I mean, he sort of was trying to hold his own. He got a couple of hits in. You are supposed to be this all-powerful being. Ant-Man is a mortal man in a suit. No powers.
He don't even work out. He don't even
I
work
mean,
out.
he trained with Hope. I don't know if
He
he's still
trained
doing
with
it.
Hope, but yeah, exactly. Hope's running the whole empire. She ain't got time to punch Ant-Man in the face.
I mean, she might need some stress relief.
I'm sure she doing other things, not punching him in the face.
Getting a haircut. Um, but
Too soon.
But like I said in the Quantumania review, that version of Kang the Conqueror did not instill any fear in me. The most I feared him is when he looked like he was about to just crumple Cassie to make Scott do what he wanted him to do. That was the most fearsome he was that entire movie. Everything else was just, okay, you're a bad guy.
So
that's essentially what he is. He's a bad guy. He's not a villain. He's just a bad guy.
So those are the two things. One, again, he's overall villainy change, and I think that's because of the situation that was going on with JM. But I'm not inside the inner circle of Marvel. I cannot say. I will say the other thing is the short seasons. It's just a no. And then at the same time, we got some unanswered, you know, given time, I think the season could have done better. given time. I don't know how much the strike had anything to do with this. I don't know if it's maybe they're very proud of it. Maybe they're happy with the way it turned out. Um, I think given more time, it could have been better than what it is.
I
Had to
mean,
hit y'all with a
that's fair.
Kanye shoulder shrug.
That is fair. I thought the season was great. I can't see, because I feel like if you, the way that they gave out the information, the way that they played this season out, yes, there are some loose ends that we don't have an answer to, but I feel like that happens in just about every single MCU Disney
MCU
Plus show.
project.
Yeah, because
Where'd the beekeeper go in WandaVision? Never heard from him again. She just said no, and he went back in the hole. Never been heard from again.
well, I mean, he was a sword agent.
Sword doesn't even exist anymore. Well, they do, but when the director is trying to murder children, I would resign
I mean,
immediately.
you get a different director.
I would try to get out of there. That's not the
But
type of leadership I want to be under.
but I mean,
It sound like
even
Hydra.
even with all of that, we got the end of WandaVision and we saw the scroll that came in and pointed up to the sky, for Monica, says somebody wants to talk to you, and so we didn't get that payoff until the Marvels. So there are Disney Plus shows that they leave some things open ended because they have a plan for them in a future title or future property. So for those specific areas in Loki season 2, I give them the benefit of the doubt to say that they may touch on that later. But I will acknowledge that there are loose ends in the show. But I don't think that increasing the number of episodes would have, for me, done anything different for season 2. I feel like if they had more episodes, it would just be more filler stuff, and that would make the season kind of drag on and get kind of boring.
You don't think that fight at the docks when they were trying to stop Doc from pruning those timelines, you don't think that was rushed?
It was quick, but it was also canonically fast because they were trying to do it all quickly. So I mean, I didn't need to see like
and
a
at
whole.
the same time, Spider, for a place that can go anywhere in time, anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
They sure didn't go many places.
Well, I mean, why would you go to a whole bunch of places?
Season 1, we were able to go to different planets and apocalypses, and we get to see some other stuff. We got to explore some places we will probably never see or probably will see again.
I mean, probably not if all of those places had cataclysmic event.
Lamentus
is gone.
Asgard was gone. Lamentus is not a place, it's a people.
Maybe. I don't know. But I mean, even with all of that, that was still 6 episodes. So we were still able to fit all of that in 6 episodes.
Listen, they need to get away from this 6-episode structure. That's just every story is not going to fit in that framework.
No, I do agree with that. Every story is not going to fit in the 6-episode framework. But if you do have a story that you can tell concisely, I don't think that you need to have 20-something episodes just to fill a season. If you can have a story that's being told in 6 episodes, make it a 6-episode miniseries. Call it a miniseries. Don't just call it a full season. I do agree with that. But I just feel like this story was able to be told. I was able to track it from episode 1 to episode 6. You have stuff like She-Hulk, which probably could have used a couple more episodes because they kind of just threw everything together 100%. In the end.
Yeah, we still don't have any conclusion on why Titania showed up in episode 1, and then she got her teeth broken in episode 4.
Yeah,
and then we never saw her again. It's like, what was the purpose of her even being in the show? Like, if she was never there, it wouldn't have made
it a look of different.
The
only change it would have made, and you could have done this with literally any person, was that's
How she
how.
got her name?
Well, no, not necessarily how she got her name, but how they found out that she was She-Hulk because she transformed in the courtroom. But I mean, you could have.
Weak.
I don't know, because it's not like you could make like a robbery or something, because nobody's going to go into a courthouse and try to rob people. So I mean, yeah,
Yeah, that would make her an idiot.
have
That
a
would
villain
literally make her an idiot.
come in and disrupt the case, yes, but let us see a fight. Let us see, her taking that person down. But if it's just make it a one-off villain, somebody that just shows up and then we don't hear from them again, but that was their only like purpose. We don't need them to show up again.
Right.
No, I
Right.
agree with that.
Or have a situation that She-Hulk is reluctant to step in, but she's protecting people of the court, maybe a jury person, and then having to step in because it's a lesser hero than the villain that they're fighting. And she steps in with her amazing, incredible She-Hulk powers and helps out, somebody that was a daredevil, a street level type of individual that was in a situation over their head. They're enamored, or maybe not. Maybe we'll still save the Matt Murdock situation. But that's a She-Hulk thing, and it still suffered from the same fate of not having enough episodes, because if you have more episodes, you can explore these things, not necessarily give you filler, but give you more stuff to build off on in case you want to do a season 12 or whatever you want to do,
Right.
because you have enough story.
No, and I agree with that. And that's why I said, for those types of shows that need more time to be able to fully develop the story, give those characters their full arcs and be able to actually understand what's going on. Yes, absolutely. Give those shows more episodes. But for me, I felt like this 6 episode format for Loki was perfect. I felt like I got everything that I needed to out of these 6 episodes. I'm not left
Well,
with any questions. The only question I'm left with after watching Loki season 2 is what's next.
Smarter, did they do it for you? Did Loki season 2, did it hit the super list? Is it super? Is it super for you?
Loki season 2 is absolutely super for me. Loki remains one of the best things that Marvel has produced. And I'm not talking about just Disney Plus shows. I'm talking about out of the entire MCU, Loki is one of the best things that they've produced.
Wow.
It's a very compelling story. And like I said, this season, just the ways that they played with time travel and the time slippage and being able to control that and having, episodes loop back on themselves. I thought it was done extremely well. I feel like the story was really well written. Like I said in our last Loki review, when we did the first few episodes, even though we have basically like 5 main characters at this point with Loki, Mobius, Sylvie, Casey, and B15, it's 6 and OB. We have all of these characters, but we still get to be able to see all of these characters and we get to see them grow, right? Before we saw B15 just as a hunter. Now we see B15 as like the emotional like metric for the entire TVA. When we first met Casey in season 1, Casey was just a paper pusher. He was just a guy that just so happened to be around. And now we have Casey actually studied the TVA handbook and he knows about just as much as OB does. And we see him helping to be able to create and build and, try to fix this stuff. And then we get
also
OB.
get a backstory where he was a planner in planning the escape from Alcatraz.
Yeah. And that's another thing, because in the first season we had the whole thing about Loki actually being DB Cooper, and now we have some again real world situations brought into the Loki show, and it basically sort of fictionally gives an explanation as to why these people just kind of disappeared. But being able to get a new character in OB and have him immediately be likable, immediately be, relatable, immediately be useful, right? He became a very important part of this entire team for the whole season. And I didn't realize he was going to be like that. When I found out that Kiwi Kwan was going to be in Loki, I thought it was just going to be like a cameo. They were going to go down, talk to OB, see if they could find out about time slipping, and then that was the last time they talked to him. But to have him in almost every single episode, and for him to have a very vital part in almost every single episode, I thought was great. And like I said, having all of those characters and being able to spend time with them and get to know them without the series feeling bloated or rushed, I felt like they did a great job at balancing all of that. And we still got all of the growth from Loki, because we get Loki going over the World Fair and seeing a statue of Balder instead of the statue of him, and being, feeling some kind of way about it. And all the way up to, his conversations with Mobius, where he says, I realized that my yearning for the throne was out of selfish greed and need and be a childish, want, something trying to prove myself to Odin, prove myself to Thor. And we get the question from Sylvie, what is it that you want? And Loki finally comes to terms with what it is that he truly wants. He doesn't want to be alone. His entire life he's been with Thor, and now he's taken out of that timeline with people, who aren't necessarily familiar with him at the beginning of season 1, but he's formed these relationships and these bonds with these people where we would not have seen Loki from Thor or Loki from Avengers 2012 do that type of thing, be able to actually sit down and have a conversation with a person and try to relate to them on a personal level and become friends with them. And having this entire second season culminate with Loki basically sacrificing his freedom somewhat to go out and do the things that he wants to do and is free to do, to give his friends their free will to do whatever it is that they want to do, to not have some type of predetermined fate orchestrated by, a single person. And so my question as to what's next, because before we saw the sacred timeline as a circle, everything going back upon itself. And now with I don't want to call it sacred timeline because I don't know if that's exactly what it is anymore, but with the timeline now, it's in the form of Yggdrasil, which has roots and it has branches, but it has a finite end. And so what does that mean for our timeline? What does that mean for the MCU? Does it mean that at some point the MCU is going to end? So I'm interested in seeing what's next. But as far as the show itself, well, as far as season 2 itself, yeah, man, it was super. I loved every single episode of it. And just like I said in our past reviews for season 2, this is a far, far, far step up from Secret Invasion, where, like I said, I wasn't even looking forward to watching the next episode of Secret Invasion. I really kind of watched it out of, responsibility more than interest.
Obligation.
Yeah, I watched it out of obligation. And with Loki, I'm ready for the next episode. I want to see the next episode. I want everything to come out at once so I can find out, because the story was just so good. They shot it so well that Tom Hiddleston gave the performance of a lifetime.
Spider, think about if you had more episodes, OB could have finished that scale. He could have finished that mapped out scale.
We didn't need it because in the end,
it was only one coat of paint.
Because in the end, it was inconsequential. The plan didn't work anyway. So it wouldn't have mattered if he painted it or not.
Oh, it's hilarious.
But I know you have your issues with season 2, but Mr. VIP Frankie Washington, was it super for you?
Yes. God of Mischief, time snatching, Thanos getting killed by Tesseract snatching, teleportation, magic using, TVA saving, new group, tree growing, Loki, Odin's son, the one he kidnapped,
Lofi's son.
Laffy's son,
Lofi's son.
Frigga daughter, Frida's son.
Well, I mean, adopted son.
They never say who his mom was on a frost giant.
I mean, we don't know how frost giants procreate, so he might not even have a mom.
Well,
he might have been born from a piece of ice or some shit.
Korg say they just got two daddies that put their hands together, and you know,
there he is.
Some rock nonsense there. What type of rock? What type of species that is? 100% Spider. Yes, it's also. Let me say super. Yes, Loki season 2 super. Yes, you knew this already. Listen, that's to say that everything does have its faults. It has its faults, but the fault. Listen to what the fault that I'm saying. I wanted more Loki. I wanted more. Everything was done tremendously well. Some parts were rushed. Some questions are unanswered. That doesn't make you not super. I think what we got was very good of what we got. Could it be better? Of course it could be better. All things could be better. But what we got was some amazing cinematography, some amazing CGI. But overall, we've seen some different things. Story-wise, top notch. And again, slow hand clap.
It's super slow now. Adaptations. You're glitching.
One of the best. I wanted to always have them longer and longer. One of the best adaptations of time I've seen put in a show. They took this time, and they put it all in the show, and they made it make sense.
Yeah.
Usually, when you have time traveling shows, somebody's lost because it doesn't make sense. These were insistently coming back upon themselves, but you understood. He was inside of his body, then he wasn't inside of his body. He was over here, then he wasn't over there. Even you had the conversations like he could show up anywhere. I think he can, because he was time slipping. He wasn't at Morbius' place when he was selling jet skis before. He time slipped to that time. Then when he realized he can also time slip into his own consciousness, he time slipped into that. He wasn't at the hospital before when B-15 in 2012, when, you know, Loki was on the other side of the city attacking the Avengers.
Yeah.
He showed up there, you know, started recruiting. Do we think Loki's going to put a multiversal Avengers team together to fight the remainder of these Kangs?
You mean is he?
Or you think he's just going to be sitting? I think he could show up anywhere.
I mean, you say that he time slipped and he wasn't physically there, you know, versus him time slipping into his consciousness at a certain point in time. But that was still, like I said, his physical body, the body that is currently sitting on the throne holding the timelines together. So even though he time slipped with his body. So if he were to time slip now, then that would mean that he's letting go of the branches.
I think he's in them branches.
No. I don't disagree with that, but I just feel like that's maybe variants of him. It's not the god of stories. There are Lokis, but they're not the god of stories. I'll put it that way.
But like the Matrix,
think that we're
the agents can get into anybody that's hardwired into the Matrix. I think he can take over any of those Lokis.
Quite possibly. I just don't think
that's what I'm saying. Some of these things that leave us unanswered, leave us questioning things, is not actually a bad thing, because the potential of Loki showing up anywhere, and I think that he's going to show up somewhere.
If anything,
if they can afford Tom Hiddleston now, because I'm pretty sure that asking prices.
I mean, I'm sure
he's probably pulling the RDJ numbers now.
Marvel can afford anybody that they want to have in their movies. It's the matter of, are they willing to pay them? Not if they can afford it.
the strike's over, so I guess. Well, no, the active strike isn't over yet, is it?
They are in negotiations to finalize a proposal right now. I mean, it's over in the sense of actors can now promote their projects.
Yeah, I seen Brie Larson on a tour on a junket trying to promote the Marvels.
Yeah, and Tom Hiddleston was on Late Night with Jimmy Fallon talking about season 2.
They can't. Oh wow, yeah, they can't do shows. Like they can't do talk shows.
No, they couldn't. They couldn't. Yeah, because I mean, you go on the talk show, then you're talking about your work, unless they went on the talk show and talked about
See,
something that didn't have to do with acting.
I thought the writers like across the board had stopped. So like the writers for talk shows like
Yeah,
Kimmel and
no, they did.
Late Show. Okay,
Yeah, Jimmy Fallon didn't come. Well, all the late night shows didn't come back until the writer strike ended. Once the writer strike ended, then they came back. Because I don't think
yeah.
because it's a late night or because it's a quote unquote talk show, they're not acting. So I don't think that fell under
That's what I was
the
thinking.
SAG after
But
thing.
you're saying it's all of the above. It's all or nothing. You can't do talk
No.
shows. You can't do press junkets. You can't do
Well,
movies.
for actors, yes.
Got it.
And I mean, it still has
Like,
some actors that was still out there trying to work.
well, if you're smart about it, you do like John Cena and The Rock. You gravitate between WWE and then acting.
Everybody can't be a wrestler.
I wouldn't advise being a UFC person
No.
because those punches are real. Yeah, but it's 100% Super Spider. I'm not gonna lie about it. They did something done before. In fact, you need to be having a conversation of awards because it was on that level of good.
Yeah.
Uh, if you haven't seen Loki season 1 or season 2, I advise you to start with 1, go on into 2. Will there be some questions? You got darn right there'll be. Will there be some questions once season 2 is over? Yes. Hopefully it's less than it was when you had season 1.
Yeah. But no, yeah,
But I
no,
think
they definitely I would say they definitely should be up for some awards. Visual effects, maybe best actor in a TV series for Tom Hiddleston, maybe for Emmys, not Academy Awards, Emmys. Um Definitely music composure because the Loki theme in my opinion already a banger. Just those like
simple. It's it's
the
it's simple.
it is simple, but it feels
And
very
it's just
it feels very like I know Loki kind of started off as a villain, and I feel like that theme is like a villain theme almost with the low horns and that that
mm-hmm,
bass in it. I feel like it's a really villainous theme. But for season 2, with all of the other renditions of the Loki
mm-hmm,
theme and the way that they kind of put it in, they made it different for whatever situation that they were in. For the when Loki was chasing down X5, Brad, and they had the theme going and it was a little bit more fast paced versus when Loki's making that final walk up to the throne as the god of stories, and how the theme was more orchestral and it was more full because this is a just monumental moment for for him as a character. So I don't know, I feel like if anything, in my opinion, they should absolutely win an award for best music composure.
Loki saving the MCU. I've said this before.
I mean, it really feels like it. You did say Loki is going to be the new Tony Stark.
Well, I don't know now because, like you said, he's sitting at the end of time holding branches together. We don't know when we're going to see him again.
Right.
Clearly, he's listen. I don't know what's going on between Secret Invasions and the
Secret Wars.
Celestials. Secret Wars and the Celestials and Loki
Oh, I forgot about the
and
fucking Celestials.
yeah, we're like Loki's more powerful than all of them.
Yeah.
Like he's holding the story together. He could essentially be the most powerful entity in because even Wanda is inside the timeline,
Right.
the dimension. He's holding the dimensions together. I like he's
She can alter reality, but the reality is still within that universe that Loki is
and
holding.
he holds that universe.
Right.
He can essentially nerf her powers if he says you don't have powers. What are you talking
Right.
about?
But I think that
He's
that
like
was the
retcon.
he is like Rekka. But
He's
I
like
think that was the
retcon.
whole reason that he took the throne. So nobody was being controlled or being dictated as to what they had to do by a singular
But
person.
there has to be some type of order, Spider. They
No,
can't
I
just be
agree.
willy nilly.
But
And like you said, there's those circle now, so it's running amok. Have we seen the ultimate redemption story for Loki? Is because you say he's a villain, but is
no, I
he
say he
still a
started
villain now?
as a villain. No, he's absolutely not a villain now. And I was saying he
Started out from the
started as a
bottom.
villain when he left 2012 and started this season. He was a villain. Basically the
Right.
only thing that he wanted at
Stabbed
the
his brother.
beginning of Loki was to get out of the TVA so he could go back home.
And now he's alone.
Yeah,
Worst fear came a perfect proficient that word.
came to fruition.
I'm glad you said it.
But I mean, he's alone, but he's alone and I think he's at peace because he knows that his friends are okay.
I think he can see his friends.
Oh, yeah, I'm pretty sure he
All
can.
all of them. And again, I can't listen, we haven't seen the last of Loki. Where he's gonna show up is anybody's guess. He's
Yeah.
a master of time now. And I won't be surprised if we start seeing like little indications of Loki, like green and
Green and gold.
gold
I
just in the
mean, there
background. And he
was
just
when Sylvie was talking to Mobius, when Mobius was watching, his other self and his kids, they had a green and gold kind of like tint on them.
who is not to say that's not Loki?
Who's not to say?
Not me. I'm not in that universe. But they definitely downplayed Kang or He Who Remains.
Yeah.
I don't even think he's a threat at this point in time. They wrapped up even the one that even ver- and it's kind of sad if that's the case. I don't know what's gonna go on in this court case with JM, but take the actor away from the art and separate the two.
Mm-hmm.
Jonathan Majors did an incredible job playing these different variations. Kang, Victor Timely, the one who remains, uh, and you got different versions of the same guy
Right.
multiple ways. I don't know if Marvel's going to continue with this or they, because they'll change the title quick.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Just like we said
They'll
about
change.
Agatha Harkness has his title changed a million times.
Oh yeah, they done changed the Mrs. Marvel. I mean Captain Marvel 2 to the Marvels. They'll change the title on you
They
quick.
changed Captain
So
America's new movie title a couple times too.
New World Order to
Brave New
Morning,
World,
so Brave
and
New
then there's
World.
something else I think now.
So don't get caught up in the Kang dynasty or whatever. Kang. They'll change that quick and have you a whole new movie. And
Yeah,
I think what they did was give themselves liberties to do that. Because other than that, what other storyline about He Who Remains is left? They clearly close that loop, and you're just dealing with that again. They kind of dealt with that too, because there's like we're policing to make sure no Kangs are coming through. So
That doesn't mean that they'll
where's the
necessarily be
threat?
successful at it, though.
Yeah, well, if they don't know they exist, they got the upper hand.
But how long will it take for them to intervene just one time? And that puts the word out to all of the Kangs.
What's next in the line of things that's coming out for Marvel?
We have Echo in January, and I'm
And
not sure what movies are coming out in 2024.
I don't think Marvel knows what movies are coming out in 2024.
I mean, they are gonna get back to their, their films that they had to put on hold.
I
Screen
can tell you
Rant,
what, no matter what is coming out, uh Star-Lord will return.
apparently. But according to Screen
The
Rant,
legendary
in
Star-Lord.
an article that was released 8 hours ago at the time of this recording,
Breaking news!
this is not
All things
breaking.
super come with that
It's
breaking news.
not breaking
Eight
news.
hours.
It's already
After eight
old
hours is
news.
already broke.
So I'm pretty sure everybody that's listening to this, because this isn't even coming out today, it's still
There you go.
so it's going to be old news by the time they hear it. It's going to be older by the time they hear it. But MCU originally had
48-hour news
films.
later.
MCU originally had 3 films slated for 2024 release, but all of the delays mean that only one MCU film will be released next year, and that film is
Drum
Deadpool
roll,
3.
please. Whoa. They're putting a lot on Ryan Reynolds' back.
I mean,
DP3 is a million? What? A billion?
it depends on the trailer. I will say that it depends on the trailer.
I mean, it's Hugh Jackman in
We
it as
already
well.
know.
I
We
mean,
already
there's
know. We got
so
Hugh
many
Jackman.
X-Men cameos. Halle Berry supposed to be in there.
So I just Googled Deadpool 3, and I don't know if this is confirmed cast, but under cast, they have
Here
Ryan
we
Reynolds.
go.
They
Yeah.
have
Oh,
Leslie Uggams as Blind
I
Al.
would hope.
We have Hugh Jackman, of course, but we also have listed Owen Wilson as Mobius and Mobius.
There you
And we
go.
also have Tom Hiddleston as Loki. But again, I don't know if
That
this is a
answers.
confirmed list.
Well, that rumorly confirmed where we'll see Loki again.
Maybe.
If it's true.
If it's true, then yes, that is where we'll see Loki again. Because
Could be people trolling.
I've heard so many rumors about who may be in the
Deadpool
movie.
3?
Yeah, in Deadpool 3. Like going back to
We're in it. If we don't get cut.
sure. Because I'm looking at IMDb, and IMDb doesn't have Owen Wilson or Tom Hiddleston listed.
Oh, see that?
It
Rumor mill. Rumor
does,
mill.
however, have Jennifer Garner as Elektra listed.
Yeah, that was confirmed. Yeah. Well, the rumor is Kevin Feige, executive producer Kevin Feige, wants to say goodbye to the X-Men franchise. I mean, if you've played a Marvel character, to be inside the MCU is somewhat of a big thing.
Yeah.
To say that you're inside the MCU and you weren't even inside the MCU, for them to bring you back because they value their characters that much, they want to make you a part of something that they created, is a huge thing. As an actor of that person that played that character, here's a question.
Yes.
You ready for it? We're bringing
Maybe.
all these actors back. We got Halle Berry coming back. We got Sir
Was that
Patrick
confirmed?
Stewart coming back. Yeah, I think she tweeted it or something. Are we gonna bring back? I'm not pausing for dramatic effect. I just lost my train of thought. I wanted to see if it was gonna come back.
Oh my god.
I know it's scary. It's right in the middle of what I was saying. Uh, are we going to see, you know, some different iterations or versions of kind of like how DC did it with their movie that we should not speak about, The Flash. How they had these different versions of Superman, but had nothing to do with the Flash. And are we worried about this being such a cluster? I'm talking about DP3, you
Mm-hmm.
know, oversaturation, too many cameos.
No, I don't think it's going to be because I feel like the way that they're going to play it out is basically kind of how, the end of Deadpool 2 was, where he was going through time and basically killing off all of the bad versions of Ryan Reynolds.
But
Um,
that's what I was going to say. Are we going to see Cable again? Josh Brolin's coming back play Cable? Or
I
are we just
mean,
gonna leave Cable in this old universe?
because he couldn't go back to, well, after they fixed the watch, he could have went back.
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
don't know. Maybe not. I don't think that
Mm,
it's a necessary part of him showing up.
fine.
But to your question
Myself.
as to are we going to see different like variants of other characters, I think we are, because I mean if we're getting Jennifer Garner and we're getting Halle Berry, they're going deep into the Fox universe, right? Because Daredevil was Fox, of course, X-Men were Fox,
Electro's Fox.
Electro, yeah. So I forgot she had her own movie.
That's right.
I
Jennifer
completely
Gardner
forgot she
came
had her
in
own movie.
before she was a peppermint. She was an Electra.
But no, so since they're going to be going to all of these different universes, yeah, I expect that we're going to see some cameos, but I don't think it's going to be too much because I think they're still going to tell a decent story to merge the universes together or to answer as questions as to why, why mutants aren't in the 616 universe or the MCU universe, 19999, whatever they want to call it.
I'm gonna call it Craig.
You can
Craig
call it Craig.
universe.
But if any movie is able to just be like, fuck it, this is what's happening, it's Deadpool.
Deadpool. Yeah, Deadpool is that movie. Deadpool is we gonna throw it all to the wind and let the charisma of Ryan Reynolds bring it on home.
I mean, and he has they have him listed as a co-writer, so I'm sure that it's going to be very Ryan
Free
Reynolds
guyish.
esque. Yes,
Oh,
that's what I'm thinking. It's going to be in
okay.
that vein. So, but with the added, Deadpoolness of it all. But yeah, so that's the only film coming out in 2024. But as far as shows, like I said, we have
Well,
Echo, but I don't
I
know
guess
any other
I guess we
shows that are
better
going to be
be
coming out.
very satisfied with this Loki then, because that's it.
But you got to remember, this is how it used to be. We only when the MCU first started,
Yeah, Spider, but we're
becoming.
spoiled now. We're spoiled. We
Well,
got
we just got to
so
deal
much
with it.
content before. Now we get no content. One movie out the year.
Yep.
What are we in 2008? What's going on?
But the thing about it is that
I need
it,
to talk to Loki about this.
of course, with all the writers' strikes and the actors' strikes, of course, everything got put on pause. So I would rather them just come out with one movie in 2024 instead of trying to rush to get something done to meet its original 2024 release date. I don't want to see a rushed movie.
Oh, I don't want to see a bad movie.
I feel like a rushed movie would be a bad movie.
You're right, because rushing a series in 6 episodes don't necessarily give you a good series or season.
No, but
So
sometimes it does.
there you go. I wouldn't take this win as a model. I would I would definitely look into keeping what works and dumping what didn't.
I mean, critically, you can say that the 6 episode format it didn't work more often than it did work. I'll put it that way.
Didn't work for Secret Wars. I mean, Secret Invasion. Sorry, didn't work for
No,
Secret Invasion. Did not work for Moon Knight. Didn't work really for Hawkeye.
definitely didn't. I felt like Hawkeye was okay. I feel like we got a pretty
But that's what
complete
I'm
story in
saying.
Hawkeye.
It would have not really. No.
How did we not get a complete story in Hawkeye? What
The
else are we
whole
missing?
Elena spin, we could have got a better spin with that. You know, her fighting Hawkeye. I feel like that could have been concluded.
You wanted her to
You
kill him?
know, no, I wanted them to work it out way ahead of time. It was drug out too long,
Well, if they
and
worked
it
it
needed
together
more
ahead
quick
of,
arrows.
so you're saying that they should have had their fight when she first showed up. Well, I mean, they did have a fight when she first showed up, but you're saying
And
that it should have been
again,
resolved then.
right then and there,
But then
and
we
let
wouldn't
me
have.
work with you on something else,
But then
or
we
help me
wouldn't.
get this wash back
That she wouldn't have done that. She
at
wouldn't want to
all,
work with her.
at all. So have them keep getting in each other's way and have to confront each other or something. It's just, it could have been better. It
Yeah,
could have
but
been better with longer episodes, or
that's true as
if
well.
not, if not more episodes, longer episodes.
Well, we don't know what's going to happen because I'm pretty sure because they're releasing. So talking about what works and what doesn't work, they're releasing the entire season of Echo all at once, and I think that's going to be another 5 or 6 episodes.
So you'll see this, and then you'll see that. You'll see that, and then it'll get a lot of views to see what it's about, and then it's going to drop off.
I mean, I'm pretty sure that they figured that
Well,
because that's the
no.
way that's why Netflix and all of these streaming services moved away from uploading entire seasons because they saw that drop off. They saw somebody subscribing to Netflix for a month, watch whatever
Yeah,
show
they
they
want
wanted
to
to watch,
see
binge it, then
Love
cancel their
Island
subscription.
and then cancel their subscription.
Right.
Is it cake? Then cancel. You know, Pit Masters, then cancel. Is this a house? I don't know which shows they're making on Netflix, but I'm pretty sure I'm close.
Baby.
Is this pudding? You know, I don't know.
If you have to ask that question, I think if you have to ask, it is better just to get rid of it.
It tune in. Watch watch it. Is this pudding?
I don't need to see 30 minutes of is it pudding or 22
Somebody
minutes, however long
taste
a
it.
Netflix episode
Somebody
is.
taste it. Like, that's not pudding. Oh my god, that's not.
They just bring out a bunch of pudding cups, and what they do is they have a contestant, right?
Here we
They have a
go. Here we
contestant.
go.
They bring out the pudding cups for the panel. So they have a
Of
contestant, they have the panel.
course.
They bring out the
Of
pudding cups for the
course.
panel. The panel takes a spoon, eats the pudding, but no reactions. So if it's not pudding, you can't react. So even if it is pudding, you can't react. And the contestant has to guess which one isn't pudding.
Cut the check, Netflix. Cut the check.
it's
Literally
pudding? You could get one episode of that before people are like, this shit is stupid. This is the
Where's
dumbest shit I've ever
season
seen in my
2?
life.
Where's season 3? I'm addicted to this show. Is it pudding? It looked like pudding.
It looks like it, but
It looked like tapioca.
But I know we got a little far away from it, but we thought that
Did
Loki
we?
season 2 was super. So let us know
Yeah,
what you
it's
thought
super.
about season 2 of Loki. If you thought it was super, if you thought it needed more episodes, if you still have some unanswered questions, let us know in the comments. But remember, if you like this
Let us
video,
know if you go watch Is It Pudding.
if you like this video, go ahead, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell so you can be notified when we have new episodes that come out. If you want the audio version of the podcast, just search for All
Look
Things
it up.
Super on your favorite
Good.
podcast streaming platform.
Homework.
And if you want to follow us on social media, just click the link in the description below.
There's a lot of things for you to do in that description area. So go down there, have fun. And while you're down there, you might as well leave a comment. We'll
Might as
read it.
well.
I mean, you can let us know
It's
if
the
you'll
comment
watch.
box is literally like right below it.
It's kind of like that spot and then that spot below it.
And also, if you're listening on Spotify, there's also a question and answer portion on Spotify as well that you can participate in.
So there's a question and then there's the answer spot below it.
There you go.
We keep things sequential and try to keep it uniform.
Sure.
Yes, organization. There's a spot and then there's a spot below it.
If there's one thing that this show is not, that's organized.
I love our show. the dysfunction of it is what I love the most about it.
Well, hopefully you
But don't worry,
love it.
I'm holding it together with super glue. Like MacGyver.
I don't know why. I got one frame of you holding the super glue in your hand before it started freezing up again. But hopefully you all love this show as much as we love doing it. But thank you all so much for all the love, all the support. We really appreciate it. We'll be back in the next episode. But until then, just remember, keep being super.
Eat your vegetables. Oh, sorry.